I didn't hear a response. Did you hear me, Emily?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe how many times Blondie, my cat, gets right here behind me. Maybe she'll be the famous cat too.
Well, that was one of my questions earlier, was if she was going to be on the show today. Just sort of seems like it at the moment.
Yeah, well, she would have the other times, but I wasn't host, so I was able to have a background. Remember how you said about you can't do background when you're the host?
Yeah.
Have you been able to make any progress with transcribing some of our prior episodes that you didn't do?
I'm working on it, but we're starting now.
Okay, we'll talk in a minute. Go ahead. Do I need to hit go live?
All right, welcome to Joss Coffee Chat. Thank you for joining us on this first episode of Jaws Diet on November 14th, 2022. Today we just have, it's just Jennifer, Emily, and Kurt. Please be sure to share and subscribe to our page or wherever you found us. Let's get to the show. Turn it over to you, Jennifer.
All right, then here we go, Emily. Let's start this talk. So, everybody, this episode or this show that will be every Monday, except for times that we take off work for holidays and such, is about a diet that has my levels, blood levels. Whenever doctors test me, mine are always healthy, whether it's cholesterol, blood sugar, or almost anything else. And that said, I also have 4 allergens, so I'm limited on what kind of food I can eat. My allergens include dairy, gluten, soy, and egg. So we will be talking about a diet that is not necessarily the healthiest, as far as for those of you who have high sodium, you may not necessarily like certain foods or they may not be good for you. But none of us are in any kind of health or dietary profession. We're just sharing with you foods that fit for me, with being allergic to so much, that at least I think tastes good and buy regularly. With that said, Emily and Kurt, do you have any questions to ask me about this diet that can help listeners understand this for our whole intro before we start naming specific food to recommend?
So has this been a lifelong thing, or has it just been sort of as of more recently?
It's been lifelong since I've been on one of my medications for seizures. That one of the side effects is that it causes food sensitivities. So it's because of the Aptium that's for my epilepsy that I'm not able to eat these certain types of food. And when I do, I get really bad constipation and bloating and so forth, and I don't even fit in my own clothes anymore. So then it takes a toll on me emotionally. So my kind of reactions are different, but it was caused by medication that I hope to one day be off of. But if God's destined me to have this episode, have this series, hopefully I'll have it long enough to finish the show.
Kurt, do you have any questions?
Well, I mean, I guess the building blocks to, good health is diet and exercise. And, I guess, are there variations to points about the diet when in terms of how active you are, kind of, like if you're traveling versus if you're right at home where you have your groceries, how do those?
So let's start with what you already asked. Let's start with what you already asked. So look at traveling. So traveling, it's very hard to find a fast food stop or gas station that has options free of my allergens. One of my favorite stops is Buc-ee's. And I'm sure a lot of people will say they love Buc-ee's too. But they have fresh fruit and stuff like that that's free of my allergens. Or they have their barbecue sandwiches, and I just ask them to serve me the meat without the bun. And then I have an allergy-free real protein and real meat that's delicious to eat on the go. But a typical gas station doesn't have really any options because generally the chips have gluten, even if they're potato made, because they're fried, and getting fried is what added the gluten. And there's other limitations with me personally, such as aspartame because of my epilepsy, but that's not part of the definition of the JAWS diet. The JAWS diet is free of the allergens with assuming people don't have other mental issue, other medical stuff like my epilepsy. That's why I cannot have aspartame and certain other things like caffeine. But because of that, my diet is free of those as far as the foods I recommend or will, and it started in episode 2. Does that answer your question, Kurt?
Yes, it does. That's good.
Who's going to ask the next question to help us define the JAWS diet?
See. So like what exactly what foods that are we like talking about?
So we're going to talk about foods that vary from sweets, like desserts that a lot of us like, which I will share the fact that I eat them a sweet only once every 2 weeks. And that's how I manage to stay very healthy as far as my weight being in the normal or healthy range instead of being overweight, like a lot of Americans. But it also includes stuff like peanut butter and apples that I eat regularly for lunch and that are nutritious, as well as different ingredients used to cook, like cheese that's free of allergens, different types of bread that's free of allergens for those who like to make sandwiches to take to work or on a picnic. So it's a wide variety of food that all are free of allergens, even mayonnaise Most people don't know that the mayonnaise has egg. And I'm gonna, in one of the episodes, show y'all a jar and tell you about the jar of vegan mayo.
Good.
Kurt's got issues.
Um. Gary, do you have any other questions? Or am I? You've been asking questions there.
I don't know that he's even there.
Yeah, we're gonna see like triple crit here, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Gary, questions? Yeah, go back and forth or something? Do you have any?
Kurt, do you have any questions about the Jaws diet?
Yeah, I mean, I've dealt with food allergies in my life, and I've had to make dietary adjustments because of that. And then in the last decade, I just kind of did for my own purposes, maybe a little bit of cardiac care, motivation. But I had seen an allergist who for my case, what he talked me through was thinking in terms of a rotation diet type of thing. Because I too, back in high school and senior in high school, I kind of was dealing with a handful of allergies, including milk allergy and so forth. So school lunch, I was getting apple juice with my lunch instead of the routine milk with school lunch. And what he told me is, with this list of foods that I'm allergic to kind of rotate days across a 4-day cycle. So he kind of was like, okay, if on a Monday, if you have soy, try to plan so that you eliminate soy for a few days and wait till the 4th day to maybe have an allowance of a serving of soy, or if it was wheat. Wheat is always a tough one because there's wheat and so many things that we buy from
And
the store.
wheat is a source of gluten, which is another one of my allergies.
Yeah, so I guess the question is, when you have a list of foods you are allergic to, do you do anything to kind of take that into consideration to make it more manageable, to rotate, like how you might have a little allowances, or like if you have a case for like going out to eat or whatever, where you kind of indulge a little bit, you're going to get that little bit of reaction from your
So I call those my cheat days. And I allow myself a cheat day, meaning whether it's got all of my allergens or just a little bit of one, but it's only one meal once a week.
Is it like the same day every week, or is it does it change based on whatever? So Jennifer, is it the same day of the week every week as far as the cheat day, or is it? Once you can get Jennifer's sound back here. try to answer my question. Having a few technical difficulties this morning. This diet is part of, along with a few other shows. It does mental health and does Christ Talk.
Okay, now I'm back, Emily. Where did y'all lose me about what Kurt asked?
Well, we were talking about your
Cheat day?
yeah, and I was asking if it's the same day of the week every week, or if it does it just days depending on like what's going on.
My cheat day is basically where I allow myself one meal to have up to all 4 allergens. But it's only allowed to be that one meal. So that means if I want to get dessert and it to be regular, normal ice cream or cake or something that has all of my allergens, then let's say it was at dinner. So desserts have my allergens, but the main meal and appetizers and all the other stuff are allergen free. So it's technically a portion of a meal, right? Because only the appetizer or only the dessert of that one meal. But no, they do not rotate on a consistent system. It's basically often when I get depressed, I want my favorite Dairy Queen Blizzard, because something about that, it cheers me up. So I'll get that when I'm depressed if all other coping skills have failed. And there's actually research that has shown that sugar increases the mood. So there's an actual chemical reaction according to research, but that's a mental health topic and totally different from the diet, because in this case, the Dairy Queen Blizzards have all my allergens, or at least milk and gluten, depending on which one I get, which Blizzard. I try my best to just avoid my allergens altogether, but even sometimes it's somebody's birthday party or it's a Christmas holiday or something, and whoever is serving the meal doesn't know about my allergies. But I avoid it to the best I can.
So that's going to be a little maybe out of order. You might have said, why did you start the Jaws diet?
Well, basically, this was already my diet.
Oh,
Hint
okay.
Jaws, Jennifer A. Whitaker. But my blood levels continue to be so healthy that my family, my parents, and some other people said, you should tell others about your diet. Because apparently your diet's really great when all of your blood levels always come back. And you eat sweets and you eat carb, but your carb intake is so low, and your sweets intake is so low that honestly, you have the opposite problems of normal people, which is low sodium and low blood sugar levels. Not diabetes or anything like that. That has to do with the too much of the sweets and stuff. but mine is where, in other words, I don't get enough. And everything else, cholesterol, everything else is just healthy. So my doctors often, well, once a year, run all of my blood levels. And they're like, you look good. Don't need to see you again for a year. And then the only time I see him then during that year is if I have an injury or something, or some other like allergy. I don't know, something that's why I need to see him, but I don't have to see him for regular maintenance. And that's, as far as my general practitioner, that's because I have such a healthy diet. So anyways, those are the reasons that different family members said I should tell other people about my food choices and how I eat so healthy. Like what do I eat and how healthy is it? And how I could, as just using my own testimony of how healthy this has made me, that it's something that could help other people with food allergies to also eat healthy. Even though then again, none of us are healthcare providers, but we work with our healthcare providers, like how we heard from Kurt. So we have some information from those that we've worked with, even though none of us are healthcare providers.
Karen, back to you. Anything you want to add?
How can I help you, Emily? What are you looking for?
Well, if you had
Another question.
any other comments or questions or anything like that?
Well, I mean, I guess with diet, food choice, food preparation, I mean, everybody's in a different situation where, not everybody prepares their meals. Some people are in a situation where at their house, somebody else prepares the meals. Maybe somebody's not the one that does the grocery shopping. How do you address those type of issues when you're relying on somebody else for your diet?
Well, I mean, I would say that if they're relying on somebody else, to please ask that somebody else to watch and subscribe to Giles Coffee Chat on their choice of social media or podcasts outlets to hear this information for their loved one. Because even if it's a mom preparing food for her daughter, or a dad preparing food for his daughter, that still this is information that can be used by the people who are preparing food, in addition to the person who's making the food choices, not solely to the person with the allergies. Because if they're a 2 or 3 year old, I'm sorry, this may not be understandable for them. But if it's a teenager or an adult, then I mean, they may even be special needs like me, where they can't prepare their own food when it's actually cooking, as opposed to putting together a sandwich. And then in a case like that, I would want their parents or whoever that prepares the food to hear this. All of our shows that's on the series.
Um, let's think of another question. I think you occur to you anything? I'm trying to think of it.
Well, if you can't think of any questions,
Now we.
Am I still here? I don't hear y'all.
Yeah, for a minute there, I didn't hear you. I would think
Or y'all can add information, things you know, or things y'all might want to share during the show. You know, each series after our intro.
yeah, I
It's not
think it
limited to
would
me
be
and y'all asking questions. What
because
y'all think?
at least, well, I guess male forfeiters. At least a couple of Final Four kind of big allergies, so I think there'd be a little bit of a challenge to find stuff that doesn't have that stuff in it.
Are you saying that you have
No,
allergies
no,
too?
no, no. I was just saying that with the year 4 allergies, I think those are like big, like common ones. And so I think I could see
Yeah,
how
well,
because those things are like in about pretty much everything. One of them anyway. That would be a challenge to find stuff that doesn't either have that or not to the extent that would cause, you know, like a huge like allergic reaction or something.
well, and that's another thing is that allergic reactions can vary.
Yeah,
Like my mom gets a runny nose and congestion and sneezing when she has milk. Versus my reaction is getting very bloated and extremely constipated to where it can be days before I go bathroom again, and even weeks if I don't do something immediately, like taking a medication I take when I have my allergens. I can go weeks before going, bathroom, as I may say, again. And so, if I were to go too long without that, it could end up building up and coming up out of my throat like as vomit. That'd be disgusting, but and if you get it bad enough that happens and you don't get medical treatment, you end up dead. So that's why I have to avoid it, even though the immediate reaction is not deadly. It's if I consume it regularly.
right.
And my mom's is just miserable because it causes her to appear sick. And why would you want to appear sick, especially during COVID-19? And now the tridemic we're in, where everybody's freaked out that if you show the slightest symptoms, they're convinced you don't have allergies, but you have COVID or RMV or RVN, whatever it is that RNS. I think that's it. RNS. That's a virus going around really bad right now with kids, and a lot of people are really panic now since 2020 when you show stuff like that. So that's why a lot more of us to have my mom's reaction are wanting to totally avoid the allergens.
Right. All right, Karen, back to you.
Do you have any opinion to add? Let's hear what y'all have to say too.
Well, I guess Emily, what's your experience with diet?
Kurt, where have you been? She just experienced it. She just explained it.
Well, I've been having connection issues, but did she
Oh,
tell
okay.
you she has tacos every day? Is that part of what she
No,
shared?
we did not get that far, Kurt. And
Okay, all right.
Yes, it seems about every day. It's not every day, even though it seems like it's about every day. But
Do you have allergies,
Uh,
Emily?
not that I'm aware of, at least food allergies.
Right, okay.
So I don't think I've had anything that I've gotten like a huge, I mean, I know there's stuff that I probably don't like, but as far as
That's normal human beings. We don't like everything.
getting allergic reaction. Not aware of, haven't had any like obvious like allergic reactions or anything like that. But yeah.
Kurt, have you had, wait, didn't you say that you had milk allergies as a kid?
Yeah, I had a handful of years was where I was running through the gamut of wheat allergies, soy, milk, egg, and so forth. So yeah, over a handful of years, I had a handful of foods that I was sensitive to. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like what you used to have is what I have now: gluten, soy, milk, and egg.
Yeah.
Wow, perfect place for us to land together.
Yeah, I would say. So, and I just haven't been tested for 15 plus years. So there is a chance. I mean, I share with people that, I use my share of facial tissue, Kleenex use and whatever.
Yeah.
So, to me, I have a little bit of, something going on. I mean, I've had environmental allergies too.
Oh yeah, that's me. I'm allergic to everything environmental. If you've had that assessment done where they put stuff on your back, I scored 7 and above on all of those allergens. Environmental.
Yeah, what my allergist taught me is it becomes a compounding problem because it's all an issue with your immune system. So once you have an allergy that's not under control, your susceptibility to another allergy, is high, is higher than somebody who doesn't, have an allergy. So that was him coaching me that there's great motivation in getting your allergies under control and to change your diet and, comply. He said he had a saying that is, let the crime fit the punishment. So, like, if you have sinus issues, if you feel groggy, if you have, upset stomach or, whatever it all is, if you're not having any fun, it was pretty much his way of saying that, input determines output, type of thing. So it was kind of him motivating me for food choice. He was highly recommending to cut down the sugars,
But here's a question. Are you saying that with this phrase he has, that he basically said go ahead and consume your allergens?
No, as I said before, he was coaching me to be on a rotation diet type thing as far as my out. So yeah, in some sense, but he said to, make it like, if like you said, cheat, is that type of thing. It's like he was saying it's going to be practical that with how foods are produced in the store or food source and ingredients and recipes and stuff, that this stuff is going to be in your food. So he was coaching me to say that when there was that cheating moment where you detected like going and celebrating a holiday or whatever, and these foods are all there, to look at how you could have a few days of purging that from your intake. So, and to think in moderation, that if it's like if somebody's got something where in the recipe is egg or soy or wheat or whatever, and you have that, you consume that, first of all, portion control. Instead of just saying, okay, I'm cheating and I'm going to have a couple servings of it. No, he was saying, try to have less than a serving, so that anything that's going on is very minimal and controlled, and to work on being aware of, where this stuff is coming into food you're consuming.
So he likes the more on a set system of the cheat days, as opposed to mine being like when I just can't avoid my allergens.
Well, I think the bottom line is we have to be aware of in our lifestyle, and like I was saying about if somebody else prepares their food, and where those things are that we don't control, in terms of sometimes you're just kind of in a pickle where you go to a meeting, or you go to friends, or you're in this situation where it's like either you're going to go hungry or you're going to go ahead and have what they have. And so to me, I think that's the baseline of what you're compensating for. Because what
So you don't think that listeners should regularly intentionally have their allergens every 4 days or something like that, but rather, if that happens, it's not anything to worry about, as long as you do like me with mostly sticking to your diet.
Yeah, the idea is that the more you can, purge these items from your intake and let your body cleanse itself from not having to respond to that allergen, the better off you're going to be. So yeah, if you can go, a couple weeks, without that intake, and get your nutritional stuff from other sources, or vitamin and mineral supplementation and stuff like that, yeah, that's the way to go. I think I think people in healthcare, dietitians or whatever, everybody's got to deal with practicalities, especially here in America. I mean, it's just kind of a known fact that in the United States of America, diet is not our strong suit, by any means, as, hundreds of millions of people across the land. On the large scale, we're known for having a pretty destructive diet practice here in general. So that means there's probably
America in general, right?
Yeah, I mean, many Americans have good diet practice, but in terms of a country where it seems pretty pervasive that culturally we have poor dietary habits, we're the country that is known for that. Yeah.
Yeah, because we have a higher percentage of obesity and or diabetes and other things that come from having a bad diet compared to any other country in the world. At least that's the latest I am aware of.
Yeah, and that's where I was saying earlier in our conversation about diet and exercise. So the idea is, if food consumption, was not what it ought to have been, then an option you have is to go out there and get to walking, get to jogging, get to activities, and get that blood pumping and do other things to take care of our cells and tissue, and also to be well hydrated. What do you think in terms of hydration? In terms of,
So my little sister has her bachelor's degree in human nutrition. She said, as far as hydration, like how much water we need to take in. But this is to know that hydration does not include coffee and other stuff that has caffeine, because caffeine itself dehydrates you. So it counters with however much water you take in. But to know how much an individual needs to take in is to divide their weight by 2, and that number of ounces per day is what they need to properly hydrate with that many ounces of water. So somebody who weighs 160 would need to take in 80 ounces of water to properly hydrate each day. Which means if they allow themselves a cup of coffee in the morning, they would totally take in, say, maybe somewhere between 80 and 100 ounces of liquid. But it gets to be more than that when you allow yourself to drink sodas and other things with caffeine, and then you could end up on the other end, like me, with hyponatremia, or in other words, with so much liquid intake that your body's flushing out all of the sodium that you have in you already, and then you have another medical condition. So we also have to watch that we take that in, but eliminating the dehydrating liquids like sodas and coffee that have caffeine.
Yeah, and I find that water source is important. I mean, there is the availability to have alkalized water, because that's the other thing, that as we're having allergies or other health issues, the pH level, the body chemistry, with pH being a very crucial factor, to have that alkaline body chemistry, that can be in favor of recovering from these health ailments, including allergies.
Are you talking about the pH level where 7 is neutral and above 7 is acidic and below 7 is base?
Yes, exactly. So the idea is, when we talk about a poor American diet, what that does is that creates a lot of acidity, that there's a lot of acid production, like even with muscle soreness. Muscle soreness, they say, like, stretching before and after, and especially the after, for my point, not to say it's more important after than before, but when you exercise, your muscles end up with lactic acid, is there, in your muscle fibers, and it's in concentrated areas. So that's where you get soreness, is where you're sore and you feel you need to rub your muscle. That's where there's a buildup of lactic acid. So stretching creates that, distributing that lactic acid, and in that, you're able to reduce the presence of lactic acid, and that's where your muscles get back more comfortable. And it's more than just being comfortable, but the point here is about our body's experience with acid.
Right.
So that's one thing to understand, and that's why vegetables are so powerful, because consuming the garden helps our bodies maintain a pH level to the alkaline side of body chemistry, and with that pH level and so forth.
Right. And you will find on my diet that when we get into the different foods I eat, mine is a high vegetable, and it's vegetables of all colors, as well as I eat fruit as my snacks as opposed to chips or something. And like my peanut butter is sweetened with honey as opposed to sugar. And you know how you've probably heard that honey, taken in honey, uh, helps you get used to and less sensitive to allergies that are environmental, which is another reason I choose that kind of peanut butter. And anyways, you'll realize that all this, that's the different families of food we need, even the beans or lentil family. I eat good amounts of those as well. So, like, for example, I love broccoli, but in one episode, I will show you the vegan allergen-free cheese I put on top of it. So even with my gluten, soy, milk, and egg allergies, I can still have broccoli and cheese.
Yeah, maybe for one of the shows in the future, maybe we do a little show and tell. I don't know if you can set that up, but
Oh yeah, I'm going to do the show and tell. This one's just the intro, so as to talk about what the diet is. But when we start episode 2 and go forward, I will be showing at least one item per episode, Like if everybody's all excited about the broccoli and cheese, I'll show the bag of cheese. Because we all know what broccoli looks like, and it's the same fresh stuff you get at the grocery store from the produce section, or the frozen flowerlets and the frozen vegetable section that you boil. Only I'll show you what cheese that I used that allows me to have broccoli and cheese without allergens. And similarly, I'll show them the butter that we use for when we're cooking stuff in the pan and you need a base. And it's a butter that we use for still cooking, but it's made from nuts and seeds based ingredients, so it's free of all four allergens while it's still butter. So we can still saute our meat using that butter instead of another. Emily, are we at that time?
Well, we are a good bit in here. Let me.
Emily?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're getting to about our
Announcements?
yeah, we're getting there. A few more minutes. Yeah.
So based off what we were talking about, do you have anything to share?
I think it's really interesting. And there's always oh, what's the word? There are different ways or different for everything. And so I mean you guys are still able to like have cheese, but it's like a different kind of cheese. So it's I mean everybody
It has
is
to be
having the same
vegan.
thing. It's just
Right.
it's like the thing with the whole like abilities thing. Like
Right. So that's why I'm showing these people, starting with episode 2. I'll be showing different food items. That's how I have a somewhat traditional diet as far as like I don't have anything fried because that means it has gluten. But I still have broccoli and cheese, just as a matter of showing people what's this cheese that I can have that's allergen free, because probably a lot of other people are eating just broccoli and they're like, man, I wish I could have cheese, but I have a milk allergy. Well, let me show you what's the cheese I use, and I have a couple different brands that make it free of my allergens, including free of soy. It's not just vegan. So that's what we'll be doing, is showing them these different foods. That's how they could have something that's probably a favorite, or something they're probably missing and wishing they could still have. But just by using certain ingredients I'll show, they can still have that certain thing, like broccoli or like a bowl of cereal. And one thing I'll show is almond milk. So almond milk, so you can still have that creamy milk flavor with cereal. And then I'll show certain cereals that are free of the allergens and so forth, so they can have a healthy but somewhat normal life as far as their eating habits, only on the healthier end, and being allergen free.
right. But yeah, this is been very interesting. so we are like 48 minutes in here. Are we going the full hour?
Yes, but we need to make announcements and we need to do the certain things we do at the end.
Because do either of you have any announcements that you'd like to bring up at all?
Kurt, do you have any announcements?
Well, I mean, Emily and I are working on a project on the military side of things, that we are looking to start a show with Project Die Hard. And so basically, anybody that might be inclined to help on a show like this, but it's a different show and it's on military. It's a mission update aspect, and Project Die Hard addresses issues of veteran suicide, and so we're looking for help in that project. And then in terms of hosting, the show. So I guess that's an announcement. That's something we're working on here in the Land of World of Ability podcast network. So other than that, we just had a birthday with my wife Sue, and in a couple of weeks it's going to be my birthday, and so November is a great month.
Indeed, brought two great people to the world.
You betcha. Thank you.
Is this your URL I put in this on the bottom? Project Die Hard. Is this where people should go?
.org and not .com.
Emily, you put that up there?
Yeah, it's just
I did.
.org, not .com.
Okay. Whoops.
But
So what is it so I can
it's
show our listeners?
projectdiehard.org.
Whoops. I had the spelling right, just needs to be .org.
But I guess another announcement is that Jeff Kurt and I all met through the Happy Neighborhood Project, or HMP as it's commonly called. And in March, on St. Patrick's Day 2023, we are having a what we're calling the International Day of Happiness. The official day is March 20th, but the official International Day of Happiness, but with the Happy Neighborhood Project, they're having a National Day of Happiness event on the Friday before that. So in 2023, it's St. Patrick's Day, so March 17th, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific, or noon to 6 Eastern. And would encourage everybody to attend. There'll be a lot of good speakers and speed networking, and among other things. And encourage everybody to get their ticket now, as it is only $20. And
What will be the rate if people wait out through
if
December?
after December 30th,
It's the cutting line is
as
December.
starting January 1st, it'll go up to $30.
Instead of the
so-
20 if they get in this year,
I
right?
think it'll go up to 30, and then at some point, I'm
All
not
right.
sure if they, I think it'll go up again to like 40. So it would be, if anybody is interested in going, I would encourage to sign up ASAP. Anything you want to add to that, Kurt?
Well, the exciting part of it that is for the Guinness Book of World Records in Belgium in 2014, 1,068 people gathered together for speed networking. So as part of that International Day of Happiness, we're going to be breaking the Guinness Book World Record for the most people at an event. Speed networking. It'll be great.
All right then, and our announcements for Jaws Coffee Chat podcast, applying to both Jaws Diet and all other shows we have, is that we are looking for a social media manager. If you think you're the right candidate to manage our social media, to do our posts and so forth, and help as also a assistant or only social media management, please go to calendly.com/Jen's Books and More to get on our schedule for us to meet and to interview you. It's calendly.com/JENNS Books and More. And that is for a social media manager to be in charge of all the social media marketing and to work hand in hand with our web designer, John. Also, at the same time, we are looking for a virtual assistant candidate who also, if you believe you're the right one to help with our podcast and admin assistant kind of stuff, as well as executive assistant type role, please also go to calendly.com/JENNS Books and More and schedule with us so we may interview you. So this is for a virtual assistant candidate as well as a social media marketing candidate. We are eagerly looking for both positions to be filled. So whichever position or possibly a combination of doing both and or more that you could bring, such as public relations or anything else that you find of value, please get on our schedule for an interview. Now, if you're one of those that knows me, Jennifer A. Whitaker, since I'm an author, here's my store, jensbooksandmore.com, where you can find my books. And we're currently working on the podcast page, but eventually you'll be able to go to Jens, JENNS, booksandmore.com to also find all of these podcasts that you see us doing live. And here is the full name of our website, Books and More by Jennifer A. Whitaker. And the short name is Jens, JENNS, Books and More. Either way, you're going to end up on our website and you'll be able to see books, and eventually, after a few more weeks, you should be able to find our podcast and videos on that website as well. You will also find on our website different events and stuff where you can host me or feature me for autographs or for my books or public speeches, etc. And everybody listening, please subscribe to our channel on your favorite podcast or social media outlet where you found us at Jaws Coffee Chat, JAWS Coffee Chat. All right, Emily, back to you.
All right, I want to thank everybody who is here today and everybody who has tuned in. Our next episode of Jaws Diet will be next Monday. Next Monday.
No, remember
Yeah,
that's
I was just
Thanksgiving
gonna-
week, I think.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So our next Our next episode of Just Die is gonna be Monday, November 28th. So in a couple of weeks. Due to other commitments. But after that, it'll be every week outside of like the couple holidays and that kind of thing. Be sure.
Yes, listeners, we give our team off the periods around different holidays to honor them for their hard work. They get time off. That's going to be a 3-week period in December that the team will take off, and the week of Thanksgiving. Otherwise, we should be going for predominantly most of the year, other than say maybe President's Day or certain other holidays. And in the summer, we're planning to allow our team 2 weeks off, whether it's 2 separate weeks or it's back to back. But outside of working around holidays, we will be live with all of our shows every Monday.
And be sure to subscribe to our channel and pages or wherever you found us, and to check out the website to find out more about books, other podcasts, and other things by Jennifer A. Whitaker at www.jennsbooksandmore.com. That is JENNS booksandmore.com. Until next time, we wish you a productive and enjoyable week.